Send them a message. We're doing another episode. This recording will decide the fate of all Godzilla and giant monster related podcasts. This is Operation Not Another Kaiju Podcast.
All right.
How do you like that for an intro?
10 out of 10.
Well, yeah, I figured we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Godzilla movies of all time, so I might as well up the production value a little bit and give us a little bit of a special intro. So I cooked that up yesterday.
Wow.
Very nice. I approve wholeheartedly. 2 thumbs way up, I say.
And you want to know what the crazy thing is? So obviously I used 11 Labs for that and everything. AI Don Fry is a better actor than the real Don Fry, so I had to give like a million passes at it before I actually had one that sounded monotone enough to match how he sounded in the movie. So,
jeez.
Don't let him hear you say that.
All right, maybe we can cut that, but yeah.
You telling me his performance isn't Oscar worthy?
I'm not saying it's not Oscar worthy. It's just a little monotone. Even he said it himself. Hey, Ryu-san, I don't think I can act. But yeah, we are talking about Godzilla Final Wars on this episode, which 20 years ago on this day, actually, it had its Hollywood premiere on the 29th. Hopefully I can get this edited and out in time for its Japanese nationwide premiere or release on the 4th. But I'm really excited about this because, well, after all the things that I've done this year surrounding this movie, you and me, Jacob, interviewing Kitamura, watching it at the Pickwick at G-Fest, doing a panel at G-Fest, I think I can confidently say that Final Wars is my favorite Godzilla movie.
Oh, okay.
All right. That's big talk over here.
Well, Jacob, you were saying, it was funny, you were saying this in, before we started recording, you brought up that Marge Simpson meme. I just think it's neat. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about this movie. Is a lot of it just childhood nostalgia? Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
This movie is very, very vulnerable to criticism. Like, there's millions of plot holes, but I don't care. It's a fun movie. I grew up with it. I think maybe we can start there. If you guys want to start with a softball question, why do you guys like this movie so much?
Don Fry. There's my reasoning.
I'm sorry, actual literal Don Fry, as he's named here in this
yes.
In this chat.
Yeah, Don Fry's actually here in the podcast. He's just being very shy. Sorry, guys.
I don't think his mic's working. We'll get that fixed later on in the show. But Jacob, you go.
All right. 2 different reasons. Okay. So, back in the day when Blockbuster and Hollywood Video were still a thing, I'm sure the older folks that are listening knows what I'm talking about. Some of the younger folks might not. Sony was pumping out Godzilla DVDs, and I had desperately wanted most of the Millennium series that was coming out. And the big story that I have for Christmas 05 is Tokyo SOS, because that's the one I saw in all the commercials, and it was like, whoa, that's cool. But my parents also got me Final Wars. And as a 7-year-old kid, the best way the adult Jacob could describe it is 7-year-old me was like, this is badass. Okay? I don't think I actually said, I wasn't a 7-year-old kid going, wow, this is really badass. But I was feeling it, It had action. It was people were doing front flips and kicks and shit. And Godzilla was punching Monster X in the face. And this movie for 7-year-old me was the coolest fucking thing I'd ever seen. As an adult, this movie's badass. It's the coolest movie ever.
Okay, there we go.
That sentiment has not changed.
But I still love this movie for ups and downs that it has. I think it's insane, but I also think it's purely the director's vision, and I love it for that. It's on the other side of like a -1, like director's vision type of movie, but I love cult movies. I love action cinema. I love the early 2000s because everything was heavy new metal and hip hop and the Matrix, and that's this whole freaking movie, man, right?
That's why I like it too. I think I said this on the panel. Um, the whole vibe of it, the aesthetic, it's that early 2000s like bright, glossy feel. The soundtrack from Keith Emerson, rest in peace. Just the action, it never leaves you bored, I feel. Like, cuz if you think about it, Godzilla doesn't really show up unless you, with the exception of the intro, Godzilla doesn't show up until like an hour in. But I never, not once have I watched this movie and thought like, God, when is Godzilla gonna show up? Because you're already being served so much awesome stuff with, like, the other kaiju running loose around the world, the action with the humans, and just everything else. Like, you know what I mean?
Say what you will about the movie, I'm sure obviously some people still don't jive very hard with it, and we'll kind of get into that, I'm sure. But it is spectacularly well paced. It's got just enough levity in between action scenes to keep you going. It's, because, if it's just all action all the time, you're going to get exhausted very quickly. But it slows down just enough to make it so you're never bored at any point. It's so well paced, and you're right Jacob, that it is a single director's vision. I watched Versus recently for the first time, Kitamura's first film, and I loved it, but it was really funny to watch it and like see a bunch of the DNA that would 5 years later make it into Godzilla Final Wars, and it's like, oh, I guess that's just because up until that point, Final Wars was the only film I'd seen from Kitamura, so it's like, oh, that's just how he is. That's just what he does.
It totally,
okay.
Yeah. And I love him for that. Like, when we talked to him, he was like, "Yeah, I brought in all this stuff that I thought was cool. The artist behind Metal Gear Solid, he does cool art. He's gonna design my costumes."
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like all these things that he thinks are cool, like fast motorcycles, cool cars, and just Hollywood action movies. You can tell, like, he grew up in Australia watching like Mad Max and The Road Warrior, and it oozes into everything he does. And for a movie that was supposed to be the last Godzilla movie, it truly in production was. They were making it like this was the last one. That's why they had all the suits. That's why they went all out. That's why they went for it, man. They're like, let's hire this young hotshot director and let's see where he takes Godzilla, man. And I think it succeeded.
I've heard many criticisms about this movie, and I think we should play fair. We don't have to get into it right now, but we can dive into the criticisms a little later on in the podcast. But for me, I can't stress it enough, man. I just think it's neat. It really satisfies my craving whenever, for the side of me that loves the wacky, out of control, balls to the wall sci-fi mess Godzilla. If I'm ever in the mood for one of those types of movies and I don't want to watch a Showa movie, boom, Final Wars.
It is such a perfect movie to just put on. You can either, you don't have to pay attention to it. I feel like if I do put it on, I'm going to want to pay attention to it because it's fucking Final Wars. But like, it's a great movie to just put on in the background and just have on. You can kind of look over and be like, oh, this is sick, and then go back to whatever you're doing.
I did that on Godzilla Day when I was like working. I had it on in the background while I was working on projects, and it was the first movie I put on in my little marathon.
Do you guys think it's a generational thing? Because most of us were growing up in the early 2000s.
So I do think it is. I absolutely think it is, and I want to go into that a little bit because I've noticed, so I don't know. I don't know how it was with you guys, but I kind of jumped on the bandwagon early in the day when after this movie came out. Like, oh yeah, Final Wars sucks. This movie's bad. Ugh. And then I've noticed recently, a lot of fans of our age group have kind of been appreciating it more, while the older generation is still kind of like, yeah, this movie's trash. I don't know why this is as popular as it is. And I've noticed kind of a parallel between this film and the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Because a lot of people, our age group especially, grew up with those films and were kind of like, "Oh yeah, these are bad," or whatever. And now they've kind of taken on a cult status within that fandom, and the people who grew up watching those movies are going back to them and being like, "Oh, this actually is kind of good. It's not the best. There's problems with it, of course, but like I can vibe with this real hard."
Well, when we have what we have now as far as Star Wars, it's easy to look back and be like, you know what, maybe I was too hard on these
This
movies.
is true. This is true, but I do think Final Wars especially has that same sort of memeable status that the prequel trilogy has.
It's the quotability of the movie. This is probably the most quotable Godzilla film ever.
It absolutely is. 100%.
I couldn't think of another one. Maybe some of the funny lines in the old dubs, like, he must have thought it was a gun. But you tell anyone about Final Wars, and they're quoting Don Fry within 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
David, you were talking about parallels with the Star Wars prequels. There's parallels within the Godzilla franchise, Godzilla 98. That's where I thought you were going to go with it at first, because think about it. How many people our age were like in 2008 when James Rolfe was ripping apart 98 in Godzilla-thon? We're like, oh yeah, no, Godzilla 98 is trash. Think about it now. How many people have turned around, have changed their opinion and said, oh, you know, it's not that bad. It's not a good Godzilla movie, but it's a pretty solid monster flick.
Yeah, that's true. It's.
I'm a just come out and say it. I've always been a Final War stan. I've been here since the beginning.
Me too, buddy.
I applaud you. I applaud both of you. You didn't give in to peer pressure like I did.
I recognize Kino when I see it. So I did want to bring up the Star Wars connection since we went there real quick. Because before we started recording, you and I were talking about Dave Filoni, David. And lo and behold, today is the 20th anniversary of the premiere at the Chinese Theater. And Dave Filoni was there, dressed as Mechagodzilla. I'm sure a lot of you know that, but I just think that's really cool that he handmade a Mechagodzilla costume and wore it to the red carpet premiere of Final Wars. But again, and it came out during the 50th anniversary celebrations, which is really weird that the 50th was 20 years ago. We're showing our age now.
Now we're the Godzilla boomers.
I know.
All these kids with their Monsterverse and their Scar King.
I will ask you guys this. Do you think the movie succeeds as a celebration of the first 50 years of Godzilla? Like, as an anniversary movie? As it like an anniversary special? Kind of like what Doctor Who does every decade? Like, they kind of did the same thing, right? They brought back past actors. They brought back some classic monsters. They brought the Zillions back. It's almost like a crazy, fantastical Doctor Who special with Godzilla.
I think it both does and doesn't, and I think the fact that it sort of doesn't is part of the reason that some of the older fans don't really jive with it all that well. I feel like it really does a good job kind of capturing the feel of some of the Showa films, like kind of the late 60s or like 70s films, but not so much the more quote unquote grounded and serious takes that we saw in the Heisei and the prior Millennium films up to that point. Like some of them obviously, like for example, Megaguirus or the Kiryu saga, like they weren't like super serious, but they just did still have like a tonally, I would say, and again, that's a lot of Masaki Tezuka's direction, I'm sure. Tonally, they were pretty grounded. I don't know if grounded is really the right word for it, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm getting at. And to go from those, especially from Tokyo SOS, straight into Final Wars, it is such tonal whiplash that it's kind of insane, and I think that's why people don't really jive with it all that much. I think go ahead.
But it's an anthology. The Millennium's an anthology, so that's where I think that a tonal whiplash like that is, I guess, acceptable. Whereas if you're talking about the MonsterVerse going from Godzilla 2014 to King of the Monsters, like, oh, now we have a flying battleship. We've got monsters from space. Aliens are confirmed real. I think that's even a worse example of tonal whiplash. But I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. That's fair. I don't remember where I was going with that. How dare you?
I just think they hate fun.
To answer your question, Jacob, I think it's very balanced. I think it has the right mix of honoring Godzilla's legacy, and it's its own thing. Like, it has enough of its own thing to have fun and be like a Godzilla movie, where it's not like, this is also a Godzilla movie, not just a send-off or like a celebration of 50 years of Godzilla. There are elements of that, like in Keith Emerson's theme song when Godzilla and Minya they walk out into the ocean. Like, that feeling is there. Like, that's why I love the soundtrack so much. I know a lot of people don't, but I think the soundtrack does a great job at sort of as a nice send-off to Godzilla, especially when he turns around and like the organs really go dun, dun, and then he just roars. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you're getting at, Nick. I've seen nothing but unadulterated love for the soundtrack of this movie.
Did you see I posted it, I think it was a little after G-Fest, that flaming piano meme. I took that meme and put it over Keith Emerson's. There were a few people in the comments saying like, I can't believe they hired a sports composer to do Godzilla's music. Like, people were like, oh, it's a sports theme song. That's all.
Who cares? It still goes hard.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't sound like a sports theme to me. It just goes hard on so many levels. But yeah, no, you'd be surprised. There are some people out there who aren't fans of Emerson's take on the Godzilla theme or Godzilla music. But no, it does. It had that scene, remember, where the boy is asking his grandpa, why is Godzilla destroying the city? I think it was Elijah who brought this up on the Final Wars panel. Oh, I forget how he worded it, but it was talking about how, yes, this movie was a crazy, out of control, balls to the wall mess, but they still kept like a little inkling of Godzilla's legacy, how he's basically a metaphor for nature's revenge on humanity. Because when the grandpa says, long ago, there was a great fire and Godzilla cannot forgive. They took some time out of this roller coaster of a movie to remind us that, hey, this is Godzilla.
I agree wholeheartedly. I'll pull a quote by Kitamura real quick. Around the release of the movie, he said, I consider it my greatest honor to direct the last Godzilla film with the best possible staffed cast and monsters. I'm ready to present a superb example of fast, exciting monster battles using Japan's excellent special effects to the fullest. I hope that it will be able to wrest the throne of entertainment from Hollywood. So, I mean, they were putting their all into this, man. Like, and it's still, yeah, and it still kept that, like you just said, it still kept that meaning behind it. It still had the thematic elements of what Godzilla as a character is, even if he's punching a monster in the face or playing soccer.
Yeah. It gives us a little bit of everything. It gives us a new Godzilla movie that is its own thing. It's a tribute of the last 50 years. And it also reminds us, what Godzilla means.
Yeah, 100%. And it's got its own flavor. There has never been a Godzilla film like it since.
I don't think there ever will be, honestly.
There never will be, yeah.
There's nothing like Final Wars.
Just say for the sake of argument, if we do get another movie like Final Wars, do you think it's more likely to come from Japan or the US?
US.
Yeah.
We got it. It's called Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire.
Yeah, but Jacob, that movie's bad and Final Wars is good.
Well, I would say actually, I would still say Hollywood because it appears, from Toho's track record, we've got Shin Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One. I think they're going to keep that direction going. Yamazaki is the face of Godzilla right now in Japan. That being said, we're never going to get... Actually, well... Because the Toho short films at the Godzilla Festival are kind of close. Like, I mean, Jet Jaguar with Gigan arms.
That's true. That's
doing
very
the thumbs
true.
up.
But I really
Final
wouldn't...
Godzilla.
I really wouldn't count those, though. Like,
I
those
do.
are... Or, like, as... Because, like, they're just one-off things for Godzilla Day. I mean, yeah, they're the closest thing we have to Final Wars, but I'm talking, like, full feature-length movie.
Then I'd say we'll never get that again because Final Wars, as of right now, is the last theatrical Godzilla film to have a full suit and full tokusatsu effects. It is the final Godzilla film with the Toho pool that is now a parking lot. The closest we're going to get are those shorts, and those shorts are, quite frankly, keeping tokusatsu alive at Toho right now. So I'm going to count those as much as I can because maybe one day they'll see that people love those and we'll get more tokusatsu. Perhaps not with Yamazaki because to achieve his Godzilla we have to use CG, but if we were to get another Final Wars, it would have to be tokusatsu, practical effects, suits, crazy costumes. I don't know. I don't see it.
I don't think you could really capture the essence of what makes Final Wars so special with CGI effects. I think something's going to be lost in translation there, and it won't hit.
Yeah, it would be like an Asylum film.
When I asked that, I wasn't taking the tokusatsu element into account. I was just talking about overall vibe, like a Final Wars-esque movie. But now that you brought that into it, yeah, I take it back. We will never.
I think the tokusatsu is integral to the vibe itself. It's part of the essence that makes Final Wars great. It's the suits kicking around an Anguirus ball. It's Don Fry punching a guy in the face, and then
a lady.
That. I don't know. There will not be another one like this. I don't think there ever will be. I want Daddy Kitamura to come back and do another one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, wait until 2054 for the 100th anniversary. Bring Kitamura back.
He's like, you want to see me do it again?
Literally, he might be.
How old is he? How old is he now?
He's 55 right now, so he's gonna be pretty old when it comes to 2054.
All right. When he turns like 60, put him in cryostasis, thaw him out in 2054, and say like, "Hey, we got one more for you."
You guys, that is an interesting thought. It's unrelated to Final Wars, but I think we'll all be around, albeit old men, for the 100th anniversary of Godzilla. Like,
that trips me out every now and then. The fact that I'm gonna be, my God, I'm gonna be in like what, my 70s, my 60s. I don't know. I can't do math. I'm gonna be old as hell when Godzilla turns 100.
Yamazaki is 60 right now, and he looks pretty handsome. And
he does.
Pretty good for 60.
I mean, hey, speaking of Asian men looking handsome in their old age, Akira Takarada in this movie, god damn, dude, god damn.
And then he pulls out the references. He's like, they used to call me, what is it called? I said the F word. He makes a reference to his James Bond parody films by Jun Fukuda. He's like, they used to call me Trick Shot or something, something like that. Mr. One Shot, that's what it is, because it's 100 shot, 100 kills. So, one shot. That's why they used to call me Mr. One Shot.
The lead actor, I don't know where I'm going with this. He's in a band.
He's in a band?
I think he's a drummer. I read somewhere that he's a drummer.
Huh.
All right, well, anyways, we derailed a little bit.
Okay, I'll wait till you get him back. So this movie is filled to the brim with memorable scenes, memorable lines, What is your guys' favorite sequence or shot?
Rodan attacking New York City. Easy.
Why is that, Nick?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I have a love-hate relationship with the city I live in, and seeing it destroyed by a giant pteranodon. Just sort of like that's what you get.
Is it not what Kitamura actually thinks of like New York cops?
Well, my cousin is NYPD, and it's not. I'm not gonna say it's a completely accurate depiction, but it's not too far off.
You know what's great is they filmed most of that in Australia and Sydney. So they found like a street in Sydney that looked like New York, and they were just like, yeah, that's it. That's 9th Street.
There was just something about that one shot of Rodan landing on the building, spreading his wings, roaring into the night as the giant moon and the Empire State Building are behind him. And I was just like, that is such a cool shot. I love it.
What about you, David?
It's tough because there's a lot of cool shit in this movie. I would say, man, I feel like you're really putting me on the spot here. I like, can I just say the whole movie?
No, you
All
gotta pick
2
something.
hours? All, I would say probably either the motorcycle chase or when like Monster X first finally shows up and they start throwing down.
The fact that one of your choices doesn't even involve kaiju,
Right?
speaks volumes of how entertaining this movie is.
Yeah.
Because think about it, one of the most common complaints in the Godzilla community is, oh, this movie doesn't have enough monster action. And here you are, David, like a scene where there's not even a kaiju on screen stands out to me.
It's just really well done, man.
It is. I want that motorcycle, the one that Ozaki was riding.
Oh, really? I've always kind of been more. Wait, is it? I'm trying to remember. I'm not going to be able to find it by Googling Ozaki motorcycle Godzilla Final Wars. That's not going to bring up anything.
Oh no, it comes up. I've done it before.
Does it? Okay.
Hang on. It's not those words specifically. Hang on. Final Wars motorcycle. It's
the cooler looking one, right? Like the more futuristic looking one.
Yeah, it definitely isn't like a base model. It's from my research, it's a modified Honda.
You've researched this. You've looked into getting one.
Well, granted, I don't have my motorcycle license, but yes, I want to get one. Yes, it is a modified Honda CBR 600RR.
Hell yeah. You hear that, folks? You could have Ozaki's motorcycle.
All right, now imagine rolling up to G-Fest on that thing. You got to be decked out in the full mutant gear.
For people to get the reference, you would have to be cosplaying as Ozaki.
We can make it happen. Don't tempt me.
I mean, I plan on cosplaying Controller Planet X at G-Fest 2025.
All right, well, I guess I'll cosplay Ozaki, Nick, and then we'll throw down.
Oh wait, can you really?
I mean, I can't. I make no guarantees, but I can try.
There was somebody who was cosplaying as him last year or this year.
Okay.
If you can find out who, just say like, "Hey, how'd you make your costume?" But so yeah, we got derailed again. David, you were talking about your favorite sequences.
Oh, well, so the motorcycle chase and then the sequence where Monster X finally shows up. Because what I really like about that sequence, because it's just as actiony as every other tokusatsu sequence in the film thus far, but the almost sheer lack, or not sheer lack, because there is music still in it, but it's the music way more subtle. But when they first start throwing down, there is no music whatsoever. It really sells just how like badass Monster X is and how much of a threat he is to Godzilla. It's a subtle detail, but it's so effective because you really feel like just, oh shit, Godzilla's gonna, he's got his work cut out for him here.
I want to change my answer, or more or less extend my answer. The entire sequence where the monsters are invading Earth, because it really I think this gives us the monster apocalypse that we didn't get in Godzilla King of the Monsters. I mean, I don't know how you guys interpreted it, but the way I interpreted the trailer of that movie was, oh, it's going to be like a full-on global catastrophe. But we really didn't see much of it. But meanwhile here, you've got drawn out sequences with the Anguirus in Shanghai, Kamacuras in Paris, Rodan in New York, and just everywhere else. Like it really feels like a global cataclysm is happening. Like, and the first part, like the first sequence where all the monsters are attacking Earth cities, really did a good job at establishing that.
And you got a memorable cast of cameos and extras in that entire sequence. You got that guy in the RV in Arizona that gets smashed by Killmonger.
Wasn't that one of Kitamura's personal friends?
Yes, it was one of his buddies from Australia. Then you have damn that armadillo. Then you have the punk guys in Sydney. They're like hugging each other, and I don't know what really happens to them, but I don't know. Maybe they get eaten by Zilla.
I'm pretty sure it's established that he ate them.
I don't think they survive. That's what you're getting at.
You have all those guys. But I guess I'll answer mine. I'm going to agree with David on the Monster X thing, but I want to hone in on Monster X descending from the sky.
That was
that
awesome.
music.
Good, cool shit.
It's got the music. It's got the organ. It's got, they're standing there. Godzilla's kind of cracking his fists and knuckles. And that was the coolest fucking thing I'd ever seen as a kid. That right there sold it for me. I was like, oh my god. Monster X is the most badass fucking monster on this planet. Ghidorah's a chump. And then what happened? He turned into Ghidorah!
How do we feel about Kaiser Ghidorah, by the way?
He's alright. He's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It was just like a lazy, not a lazy attempt, but sort of half-assed attempt at revealing one last new monster. I think it should have just been King Ghidorah.
I think it should have been Monster X and no Kaiser.
Just
Ghidorah.
Monster X, yeah. I mean, it would have been hard to do a 50th anniversary film and not include Ghidorah.
That's true, but it would have been ballsy.
It would have been ballsy. That's true, but
they kind of didn't. It wasn't really King Ghidorah. It was just a variant Ghidorah.
It's still a Ghidorah,
I guess. I just think, like, if you want to bring in Ghidorah at the last minute, make it like an official Ghidorah, not some.
It is an official Ghidorah. What are you talking about?
Or no, like
actually, not, Jacob,
like
his
an actual
symbol is Monster X2.
That was to keep it a secret.
No, what? And Jacob, when was the last time King Ghidorah walked on four legs?
Rebirth of Mothra in Des Ghidorah.
I haven't seen Rebirth of Mothra, so touche, I guess.
I got you.
But that's also a variant. That's not OG King Ghidorah.
Oh.
My point is that while I don't hate Kaiser Ghidorah, I feel it should have just been King Ghidorah and not some, hey, let's try to bring out one more new monster.
You're a kaiju junkie and you haven't seen Rebirth of Mothra?
Fake fan, I know. I'm gonna.
Shame.
As soon as we stop this recording, I'm gonna turn in my gun and my badge. I'm a disgrace to the Force.
You've seen Reptilian a million times and never seen Rebirth of Mothra.
In my defense, I've seen half of the first one, so
it's not good enough, Nick.
Should we address the elephant in the room, like, real quick? There's a certain sequence that Godzilla fanboys really like. It's in Sydney, Australia. There's a monster that gets hit to the Sydney Opera House.
Let's talk about it.
You sounded like Good Mythical Morning there for a second, Nick.
Good Mythical Morning! Today we're going to talk about the scene that Godzilla fans haven't shut up about for 20 years.
The one that they constantly hold on to and that real Toho fans feel vindicated for. Well, in the words of Kitamura, it was a fun, crowd-pleasing moment.
Yeah, exactly. I loved that we asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, that was my idea. It was funny.
I think I get more pumped to hearing Sum 41 in that scene than anything.
That was my introduction to Sum 41. I had no idea who they were until...
Me too.
And I was even more blown away when I heard some of their earlier music, because hearing that, like, that being my introduction to Sum 41, I thought they were like this hardcore, but then I listened to their first album, like, wait a minute, this is like
They're pop punk,
this is
man.
like music you would hear in an American Pie movie, not a Godzilla movie. Where's all like the heavy, like the fast paced drums and all that? This is like pop punk. I didn't realize they were pop punk.
I want to say their first EP was like actual like thrash metal. I could be wrong. I haven't actually heard it, but I've heard tell that it's more thrashy than the rest of their stuff. I mean, granted, they've put out heavier stuff since that album. Like, what album? Yeah, Order and Decline was the album they put out in 2019, and that was like kind of shockingly heavy for Sum 41. But they've since called it quits now, which is a shame. Rest in peace, Sum 41. I'll always
Wait, they're
remember
not a
you from
band
Godzilla
anymore?
Final Wars. Yeah, they just recently had their farewell tour last year or this year, I think. I don't know. I wanted to go see them, but the date they had for Boston was almost all sold out except for like VIP stuff. And I did think it would have been a funny bit to go up to them at like a meet and greet and be like, "Hey, I love that song you guys did in Godzilla Final Wars," and see if they knew what the hell I was talking about.
I'm pretty sure they're aware. If not, they're like, oh, thanks for the lawsuit suggestion.
They must have they must have signed off on it. There's no way that they would have used that song without permission.
I got another question for you guys, real quick. In our talk with Kitamura, he brought up alternative casting for Captain.
Oh,
Gordon.
yes.
Ooh, yeah, this will be good for people who haven't read the interview.
Yes, he brings up, because Kitamura's favorite movie of all time is Highlander. Sit down, I know. He wanted Christopher Lambert as Captain Gordon. And then they were like, okay. Then he thought about Sonny Chiba. And that's pretty cool. And he thought about Jean Reno, of all people, G98.
This is Operation Final Wars.
Yeah. So my question to you guys is, did Don Fry's casting as Gordon make it lightning in a bottle? Or do you think because of the script, if it was Sonny Chiba or Jean Reno or Lambert, do you think it'd have the same effect?
I just can't see Jean Reno as Captain Gordon. I don't know if it's really has anything to do with Don Fry's performance. Like, was what they were going for. They were going for like this big macho G.I. Joe tough guy. Like, I can't see Jean Reno pulling that off. Or like, if they had gotten Jean Reno, they would have had something a little different. But depending upon like what their original vision for Captain Gordon was, I can't see anybody else but Don Fry.
There's concept art of Captain Gordon. I can pull it up real quick.
Oh, there is, and he is. That's from the guy who did Metal Gear, right? I think I know the piece you're talking about. To answer your question, though, I feel like it's a little of both. I think Don Fry would absolutely was lightning in a bottle. That being said, and I haven't really seen Christopher Lambert in anything other than Mortal Kombat. I have not actually seen Highlander. I'm sorry.
How dare you, fake movie fan?
But no, I think any of those choices would have brought their own unique spin on the character, and they would have been just Jean Reno especially. They would have been just as memorable a character if they had played it and not Don Fry.
I sent the concept art in our chat real quick, just so you guys can see. But it's curiously not anything like Don Fry.
Kind of reminds me of like an Attack on Titan general from the final season.
Yeah, it's that guy, and it looks like a Metal Gear character. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Looks like Big Boss. It looks like David Hayter. Man, wouldn't that have been a trip, dude? David Hayter is Captain Gordon.
You just use the Solid Snake voice. It would have worked. It would have worked, I think. He's got the same sort of gruff voice. I thought I told you guys to get to the ship.
Yeah, see? That's a great alternate universe thing. Since they were going so hard on the Metal Gear connection.
I'd like to bring attention to something that is my personal Moby Dick of the Godzilla franchise.
Please.
The elusive F-bomb cut of this film. If you don't know what I'm talking about, supposedly there is a cut out there where the cop in the New York sequence, when Rodan attacks, instead of going 5 minutes, 5 seconds, doesn't freaking matter because I'm gonna bust you up, he says 5 minutes, 5 seconds, doesn't fucking matter because I'm gonna fucking fuck you up. and that's why the lip syncing is all off in the movie. And to my understanding, the original cut was shown at G-Fest 2005.
Really?
That's what they say. Like Billy has said that, and he was there. But is it a Mandela effect?
I really wish I had a better memory.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Go ahead real quick, David, and I'll say what I was gonna say.
So I have not mentioned this to you guys before, but I have actually seen Final Wars in theaters back in 2005.
Oh.
The Brattle Theater in Cambridge, Massachusetts somehow got a reel of Godzilla Final Wars, and they were showing it for like one night. Me and my dad skipped a couple days of our family vacation to go see the movie, and I really wish I had a better memory because I want to know if that was the cut they showed. I don't know if they did.
I don't know how. If we ever speak to Kitamura again, that is the first thing I'm asking him. I don't know why I am so obsessed with this. Maybe it's because I'm from New York and I say fuck every other word, but it's like my own little personal Akira Takarada cameo in Godzilla 2014.
That'll be our exclusive one day. We'll just here it is.
The F-bomb scene in Final Wars.
Toho Kingdom got the Takarada cameo. Kaiju United got the F-bomb cut.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like it could happen.
I want to know.
I feel like...
Does it exist? Is it an actual thing?
I think it's a Mandela effect. I'm going to be honest.
I'm sure
because
it definitely is a thing because they had to... because the dubbing doesn't match. And they had to go back and...
but have you read it? Do we know that that's what he said? Like, have we read his lips?
I'm pretty sure that's what it... Hey, let me look this up.
Because I just watched the scene on IGN's archive where they have a post from 2005 for the promotional DVD. Just because I was feeling retro. But also, if they had a reel at G-Fest, it would have been the reel that David watched. And I'm pretty sure David would have a core memory if that scene played in his theater.
I don't know. This is 20 years ago, man. My memory ain't
your mom
good.
Your mom and dad would have been like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean?
My dad was the only one there. My mom didn't go. I could go ask him right now if you want, see if he remembers.
Bring him onto the podcast. Let's ask him.
But on the other side, G-Fest really likes playing. Well, at least for when I started going, they just played the DVDs.
Yeah.
So I looked it up on Google. So I've been searching for this for a while. So the first result is a post I made on Reddit 4 months ago asking people, is this real and can it be accessed anywhere? That was the first result. The AI overview says, in the 2004 film Godzilla Final Wars, actor Mick Preston used the F word several times while filming. Preston was later required to dub over his original dialogue with less offensive language, but viewers can still see him mouthing the F word in some shots. So it's AI, it's gotta be real. There is an interview with Vantage Point Interviews titled NYC.
Oh, Brett's interview.
Oh yeah, this is Brett. Okay.
Yeah, Brett does great stuff.
I
Brett's
totally
more reliable than the AI overview.
I totally forgot this was... Alright, hang on. Let me Command F over here. Fuck. Alright, nothing came up when I typed fuck in when I hit Command F, so I'll read this a little later.
I just got a comment on our on this day post on Kaiju United socials, and it says, "I'm still so pissed that Toho didn't put this movie out in theaters again for the 20th anniversary. You're a bunch of cowards. Silly movies are only for the strongest of fans. They should have done a Fathom Events for this, man.
Yeah, they just put -1 back in theaters. Very sad.
I'm still staring at this the Reddit post. 18 comments, none of which were helpful at all.
Of course not.
Thanks, Reddit. 5 minutes, 5 seconds, doesn't... Yeah, it's just a bunch of people quoting the movie. You working again, Godzilla? Cop. No, just sorting some stuff out. Godzilla. Ah, well, I'll leave you be then. Good night, Godzilla. Good night, Jimmy.
You know, here's a piece of trivia, since we're doing trivia and stuff. The guy, and I'll tell a story with this too. So the guy with the brown bag in the New York scene, in the pimp sequence, as a kid, I thought he was holding a burrito. I was like, why is this fat guy eating a burrito?
I mean, hey, who's to say he isn't?
You know, it's not an accurate depiction of New York. In real life, that beer bottle would have been in full view, and he would have had a needle hanging out of his ankle.
Oh, Jesus. So anyways, that guy, if I recall my facts right, is the bus driver in Shang-Chi.
What?
What?
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
No fucking way, Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the guy driving the bus in Shang-Chi is the same guy that played the pimp in Final Wars.
Michael Anthony Taylor.
Yeah, when Shang-Chi's beating the guy up on the bus.
According to IMDb, yeah.
See?
New York gangster pimp.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring it up on Disney Plus, assuming it's on Disney.
Holy fuck, that is him.
Oh,
No,
okay.
wait a minute. No, that's
sorry,
the...
it's the guy holding the bag is the same guy as the bus driver. Or is it the pimp?
Well, no, it's got to be the pimp because his IMDb says New York gangster pimp.
Oh shit, it's the pimp?
But I looked.
That's
I went on to
hilarious.
Google. I went on to Google Images, and the homeless guy comes up, and he looks a lot more like the homeless guy than he does the pimp.
Hold on. I'm gonna bring it up. What do we know how far into Shang-Chi that is?
You know, David, a much easier way to streamline this process is to go on YouTube and type in Shang-Chi bus scene.
No, it's too late. I already have the movie up.
Well, I already have the scene pulled up.
Oh my god. Well, excuse me, Nick.
It's not a race. It's not a race.
Excuse me for taking the legal way to do it.
Hey, this is legal too. I'm not pirating this.
So yeah, he must have been the pimp. Okay. I might need to restate that fact.
Well, according to IMDb, he's the pimp. According to his face, he looks more like the homeless guy. And according to Google Images, he's the homeless guy.
He's somebody in that scene made it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's my point.
I got 30 seconds left of ads, and then I'll be able to tell you.
I can tell you. I can tell you right now. Yes, it is him.
Okay, there's two guys credited as New York Gangster Pimp. The other guy is Darren Dupree Washington. He's credited as New York Gangster Pimp. And he looks like the...
Yes.
I'm looking at a dead man.
Darren Dupree Washington is the pimp, and Michael Anthony Taylor is the homeless guy. I mean, and I like how in Michael Anthony Taylor's IMDb, in his known for section, it's Godzilla Final Wars.
As it should be.
It's Shang-Chi, 222, Gods of Egypt, and Godzilla Final Wars.
Darren Dupree's is the Jungle Book, Fudgy Wudgy Fudge Face, and Godzilla.
What the hell did you just say to me?
Fudgy Wudgy Fudge Face.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Oh god. Oh god.
Okay, we're gonna go off the rails real quick.
Oh god.
You remember how we rabbit holed last time?
Yeah.
The plot on IMDb for Fudgy Wudgy Fudge Face is a UFO crashes to Earth. The first human the alien meets is a hillbilly named Elmore P. Fudge.
Okay.
The dumbest man in the world. Elmore learns the alien came to Earth because, like in the movie Footloose, they are forbidden to dance on his planet.
What?
Elmore helps the alien find a disco, and in the process, they have many great adventures and become best friends.
When did this movie come out?
2010.
Oh my god, yeah, that sounds like a 2010 movie.
I just dropped the trailer in the chat.
Hey, so
Oh my fucking god.
so for the next episode of the podcast, can we cover this movie?
Fudgy Wudgy Fudge Face for episode 4.
Yeah,
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Meanwhile, the U.S. military has tracked the UFO crash, and they reactivate their top alien bounty hunter, Agent 3000, to exterminate the alien. The race is on for the dumbest man in the world to save the smartest being in the universe.
Of course.
In the trailer, he is partying. Him and the hillbilly are partying with Victoria's Secret models. This movie looks amazing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No one told it like coming to Earth. The director of that movie plays Elmore, and he also voiced Lug in the movie Robots.
Who was Lug?
The director of Fudgy Wudgy Fudge
No,
Face.
who was Lug in Robots, though? Which character was that?
Oh, I don't fucking know.
Come on, Jacob. You're not a big Robots fan?
We're this train has gone off the rails.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
So bring it back to Final Wars. I think we should play fair and talk about some criticisms that people have for this movie and how
All
they
incorrect. All wrong.
are very valid.
That's what I was about to say.
No. They are correct, but we choose to ignore them. Look, Donnie Winter is gonna rip me apart for this, but this movie could have been made without Mothra. That's all I'll say. She had no place being in this movie. More or less being on the front cover. The fact Mothra's role in this movie just makes me mad.
Yeah, that's me and Gigan.
Ooh,
Hot
damn,
take.
all right.
You're telling me that the moment Rodan entered New York airspace, she didn't spring into action. Where was she when the monsters were invading Earth? How come?
She was
How
waiting for
come
Gigan to show up.
How come Godzilla? She let Godzilla do all the heavy lifting and be like, okay, now I guess so. Or the fairies will be like, okay, now we'll call her.
Yeah, no, it's
Because Godzilla can do it.
It's not really on Mothra's thing. It's the Shobijin. It's their fault. They waited to call Mothra.
Okay, then they're in that case, the Shobijin make no sense. I love how they were in the beginning of the movie when they found the mummified Gigan. They were like, "Oh, don't worry, Mothra will be there to protect you." And then
she
meanwhile,
did.
with 20 minutes left in the movie and all the monsters already taken care of.
Yeah, well, they had to have a Deus Ex Machina somehow.
There's already enough Deus Ex Machinas in this movie, Jacob.
Yeah, I liked, Godzilla getting the M-base Dragon Ball Z fucking Super Saiyan powers.
I didn't know the Gotengo could do that.
Yeah, like how does that work? Why didn't they fuel up Don Fry with that? Why didn't they juice him up?
Why didn't the controller of Planet X just send out all the monsters at once instead of just one at a time against Godzilla?
It's the rule of cool, Nick. Come on.
How did the Secretary General and all the other officials escape their prison cell?
Don't worry about it.
Like that was literally the somehow the Emperor survived of the Godzilla franchise.
Don't worry about it.
Is it the exact line he says, "I escaped somehow"?
Yeah, somehow. Yeah, it is. Like, somehow
Yeah.
I escaped.
That's great.
Because he's Mr. One Shot.
Yeah. They saw his handsome Akira Takarada face and was like, damn, I gotta let this guy go.
We're gonna have a new corner every single podcast. David's Man Crush Corner.
It's all Akira Takarada.
Well, Nick likes to update his profile picture of Don Fry smiling, so.
Hey, I just think he's badass. All right, he's the
Well, he's
macho.
got the highest.
He's got the highest female followers in the world.
Your girlfriend sends me naked pictures.
Jeez, Nick. Why didn't he say that in the movie?
That's another deleted scene that Nick's got to look for.
Well, that's a fun little
God.
topic.
Oh, boy.
Don Fry's lines in Final Wars, he was asked to contribute to some of his lines because he was the only English speaker on set, or native English speaker.
Oh, that's right.
He mentioned that a lot in his Q&A in 2023.
Ozaki, get a grip.
We're going
We're
in.
going in.
One of my favorite little tidbits from that interview was in the scene where they're getting ready to go to Antarctica to wake up Godzilla. He points at a map, and the original line was, "We got to go right here. G-spot is right here." And he had to go to the director. He's like, "Guys, that's not what you think it means."
Jesus.
No, it means Godzilla's right there.
Yeah.
It is.
What else? What else could it possibly mean?
That would, dude. That would have made that movie so much funnier. Oh my god.
I mean, I
Could
may
you
be
imagine?
remembering it wrong. I don't. I think it is very much in Don Fry's nature to just let that sort of thing slide and not tell anybody. Anything else?
I don't know. I guess we could wrap it up. I would say 20 years on, does this movie hold up? Or has this movie aged a little bit poorly with some of the funky stuff like, Don Fry striking a woman or, stuff like that? Or do you think it's just all part of the crazy fucking shit that goes down in this movie, Has it aged okay in 20 years?
I think it has. I mean, it's still got that like childhood wonder to it from when I watched it when I was a kid. Like I still get giddy about this movie the way I used to. I think if anything, the one thing that stands out to me most is, and this is no offense to him, Don Fry's acting. Like his monotone acting is 100% more noticeable as an adult than when I watched this when I was like 9. But, it still holds up. The effects are still great. I don't know. And like the way this movie, like G fans come together in praise of this movie the way they do, like the screening at the Pickwick was sold out. I mean, you guys, we were there. We saw that line as well.
Yeah, they turned people away.
This is why you buy your tickets beforehand when the movies are announced. People got to realize it. I almost didn't. I don't know if I told you guys
it used
this.
to not be that way, man. It used to be that you can just walk up to the door, which is crazy for me because G-Fest 2012, we just bought our tickets at the door and there was no line.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought all of our tickets online, and I don't know if I told you guys, but I almost didn't. Part of me was like, nah, I'll just buy them at the Pickwick. But then I was like, someone was telling me, like, it might get sold out, and turns out it was.
The right call.
Yeah, really the right call. But, yeah, no, but the way that everybody was just going ham when all the cool scenes were going on, and everybody, and everybody grouped up in front of the theater to take that group photo, and everyone did the "We Love X" symbol with their arms.
I'm so pleased that ended up working out as well as it did.
Man, there's nothing quite like the feeling that you get when looking at G-Fest group photos, man. That's one of the staples of G-Fest is the group photos.
Yep. Yeah, it's a tried and true tradition, man. So, on a personal note, guys, you guys praise this movie a lot, but where does it actually fall in your rankings?
Of a almost 40 movie long franchise? God, I don't know.
yeah, tell me.
Can you narrow that down a little bit? Can you make it a little bit easier? We'll be here all night.
I don't know if it would be in the top 10, but I think it'd be close. Like maybe top 15.
I'm going to pull up my rankings on Letterboxd right now.
I have not ranked the Godzilla franchise. Not once.
I have.
We should do a tier list sometime. Like, and just put it on the YouTube channel.
I would not.
I would probably. We'd be arguing with each other though, because I would put all the Heisei films at the bottom.
Yeah, that's okay. So would I. I'd put most of them at the bottom.
All right, so let's not do the tier. Well, all right, so I guess I'll be in charge of the tier list. I'll be the one controlling.
No, 2/3 majority, buddy.
Yep.
Who owns Kaiju United? Who owns Kaiju United?
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough. You got that leverage.
I have Final Wars at number 15.
Okay.
I've never rated all the movies together, but I have a fluctuating top 10 list. And Final Wars is seemingly always in that list, more towards the top. And like I said in the beginning of the podcast, interviewing Kitamura, seeing it with fellow G fans at the Pickwick, doing the panel at G-Fest, just and watching it at least like 6 times already this year. Right, as of right now, it's my favorite. I've got a poster hanging up in my office at work. I plan on digging my old Bandai, like 12-inch Bandai Godzilla Final Wars figure out of my parents' closet before I leave here this weekend and displaying it on my shelf at work. I just love it, man. There's just something about this movie. To all the naysayers out there, la 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 la, I can hear you, la la la, what plot holes, la 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 la.
I have a poster of it too that's signed by almost every suit actor that has worked on that film. It's signed by Rodan and Aminya's suit actress. It's signed by Aguirre. It's signed by Monster X. It's signed by Godzilla. It's signed by, I think the Anguirus guy played King Caesar. Maybe it's not signed by Caesar. I think that's about it, dude. It's signed by like everybody, but it's missing a big fat signature by Ryuhei Kitamura.
Well, let's hope he comes to G-Fest soon. But to add on to my answer, like, the childhood nostalgia, Jacob, I've told you this a million times. Nostalgia is a big contributing factor for me. Save the Earth was more or less like a tie-in with Final Wars. It had that little section where it had all that promotional material for the movie in the extras. And I remember seeing that as like playing it as a kid, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so cool. And like looking up the movie online and just being so excited. And then when the library near my house, when they finally got it, I was so excited. Like I rented it so often. So just the nostalgic connection I have with this movie, I never get tired of it. The kaiju are fun, the humans are fun, and the Godzilla not even being in the first half, not being an issue, that is huge. When Godzilla not being in a Godzilla movie for half of it is like not even on your list of complaints, it says something.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's endearing. It's just memorable in every regard. Like, that's the word I'd sum it up with. Memorable. The dialogue is just so out there sometimes that you'll remember it forever.
And when Captain Gordon shouted out, Captain Gordon shouted out, "Not another kaiju podcast," 20 years before the podcast was actually a thing, like,
whoa, he was on to something.
You were saying about James Rolfe?
Oh, he called it Godzilla on crack in Monster Madness, and I kind of agree with him.
It's a fun movie. I know it's really like, I feel like if this was any other Godzilla movie, or if any other Godzilla movie was like this, I would be like, this is kind of dumb. But I don't care about the plot holes. I don't care. Like, it may not be my favorite Godzilla movie for long, because like I said, my list is constantly fluctuating. But as of right now, Final Wars is number 1.
Yeah, that's great, man. And I think that's a great way it's a great thing to end off on, I would say.
To all you naysayers out there, just shut up. No, I kid. You can hate this movie, and I can totally understand why. Me, I just don't care. I love it. It's like my dog peeing on the rug. Oh, you introduced Mothra in the last 20 minutes when you could have introduced her in the first act. Oh, I can't stay mad at you.
They teased her. It's fine. It's fine.
All right. We'll just end there.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to episode 3 of Not Another Kaiju Podcast. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all other major podcast platforms. So if you're listening on audio, rate us 5 stars. We're also on YouTube, the video version of this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, and turn on the bell so you never miss an episode. My name is Nick, joined as always by Jacob and David. And until next time, guys,
go right into it.
Until next time, get a grip. We're going in.